everybody. Hang on, I'm getting some feedback on my PC. Hopefully that's better. Can you all hear okay? I'm not getting any feedback. Buff Tony, can you hear? Kurt, can you hear?
Hit the like button, subscribe.
Yeah, cool. People can
hear. Can you hear me okay, guys? Yes.
Great. So I'm surprised at how few people are on here just yet. Bearing in mind how many people there are from DFAM and Lucky Sevens. So let me just make sure everyone is aware.
Somebody asked first sensible question about a gravity project. When Danny OnlyFans? I'll drop my wallet address into the chat now, and we can get things going if you like.
Right, cool. So we'll wait for a few more people to join because essentially this AMA is just going to be quite straightforward. We're not going to talk anything about like infinity or anything like that. It's just for information purposes for the guys coming over from DFAM and Lucky Sevens, just to let them know how the process will work and what to expect and their sort of options, whether it's MDB or stables, etc. So I think it's best if we start by introducing ourselves because some of you won't know who we are. So I'm Alice, also known as Mina on Discord or anything like that. That's sort of like my alias. And I head up marketing and I am a co-founder as well. And then to my, is this my right? I suppose it is. Is
your left,
Danny.
your left to us.
Really?
It's our well, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, next to me, the only other person on the screen is Danny, also known as the Godfather, aka our CEO. So he will give a little bit of a brief rundown about MDB and what it is, just because a lot of you will be new. And then we'll move through quite swiftly, let you guys know what's going on with the claim process for DFAM and Lucky Sevens, and then take any questions around that. And that'll be pretty much it. Like I said, we want to keep it quite concise, just so that anybody that's not watching live can just hop on and quite quickly get the information that they need. So I'll hand over to you, Danny, if you want to give a sort of brief introduction to MDB for anyone that's come over from DFAM.
Yeah, definitely. And look, welcome and thank you for the people that have come across. I think, maybe I'll share a little bit sort of about myself and then the project. I'll keep it brief. I've been kind of pre-told off by Mina, Alice, for talking too much. So let's crack on. Look, in terms of MDB as a protocol, really, it's there's a master token, then there's other assets that sit around it. The master token sits on this kind of this machine that we call capital synergy, and capital synergy is the combination of two things ultimately driving a great result. And we have this $2 million trust fund, started off at 1.5, and really the whole strategy, without getting too much into the detail of our protocol, is to decrease the number of tokens in supply. And we do that in a really crude way, actually, by pumping in BNB into the liquidity pool, and then most of the supply that's purchased is then burned out of existence. And what this means, that regardless of everything else that's going on, you should see more cash in the system ultimately over time, and you see less tickets to the game. If you think about it like a ticket to a football stadium, and everybody, there's a certain amount of cash to be shared between everyone in the football stadium. Our whole strategy as a protocol is that there is more cash to go around, but there's less tickets to that stadium over time, and that's what we're doing. So that's why after several months we've burned about $1.3 million worth of MDB in today's money, and our trust fund has grown. So today we have $1 million in liquidity today, actually, as well, rather than 300k in liquidity when we started. So right now our system, if you like, has 3 million divided by around 866,000 tickets to the game, which is the tokens, right, in existence. And when we started, it was about 1.8 million divided by 1 billion. And that's the game. And the idea is you get one down, you get the other one up. Eventually, there's a lot more money to go around each one of the tickets, and that's ultimately what our system's designed around. On top of that, as well as that system, we also see the value if people lock up those tickets and there's less in circulation, then ultimately that has a really positive impact on the protocol, and that also then drives up price, and volume is good. Any volume, even you see people celebrate, if you've been new to the community, people celebrate a sale because they get their rewards, and that's very genuine. That isn't like a coping mechanism. That's because the system is designed so that people can come and go, and people coming and going helps everybody. So you can take your tokens, you can stake them, earn something that it'd just be mind-boggling in sort of standard sort of financial institutions. You can earn sort of 25% plus you're contributing to this squeeze, which has an impact on price. Or you can farm, and it's a 15% tax to join the farm, but the returns, if you're a long-term, more serious investor, then the returns in the farm are pretty significant, around 200% APY. So all of those numbers very sustainable. Obviously, we have Infinity coming, which is like mega degen, and also you want a place to put your cash, right? So we've got the stable assets as well, and that's really MDB. Myself, I've got lots of experience across sort of large businesses, small businesses, around investments. I've worked across many different technology spaces: energy, sustainability, additive manufacturing, software. Around electric vehicle charging business for a Fortune 500 company. So I've been around the block a little bit, and really my driver, actually, I took personally. I wanted to build a protocol that I personally would want to invest in. I've been around the block, invested in a lot of tokens that you would have invested in yourself, and really MDB is kind of is kind of I'd like to think it's what DeFi can be, and that's really our goal. Our goal is to deliver something that's sustainable and reliable, and also has huge upside potential, rather than most of what's in the industry is like a 1 in a million chance. But that means that 999,999 lose, and what we're trying to create is something that tens of thousands of people could make a lot of money, and that's really our goal. Okay,
cool. So does anybody have any questions about MDB specifically? If you're new here, I'll just give them a couple of seconds to get any questions. Actually, while we wait for any questions, what I'll do quickly is I'll talk you through how the claim process will work. And then once I've talked you through that, I'll let Danny explain to you how the payment and everything will be calculated. We've got one question quickly from Thomas. So how does it work? Staking, so not a rebase project.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that one, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we have buy and sell taxes, and those buy and sell taxes are split, a very small part of those buy and sell taxes go into our sort of marketing operations pot, and then the vast majority of those buy and sell taxes go actually into the trust fund, and that trust fund is then invested across a range of different portfolios, and then a small part, I think it's around 26% of the remaining, after marketing and ops is taken out, it's around 26% of those taxes are then directed. They're split actually between the two pools, and ultimately that's where the rewards come from. So actually, when a contract sell is triggered, which is a necessary function of a contract like this, ultimately what happens is the tokens are converted into BNB and then split up. Some tokens go to the pools, the rest is then converted into BNB. It's then sent to the trust fund. So actually, when I think somebody sold a load today, somebody sold I think 1 million tokens today actually, and so that was, say, round number, around $10,000. Out of that $10,000, about $1,500 of that went into the receivers and then gets split out, and it's about 2/3 goes into the fund. And that fund, which has just received a couple of $1,000s worth of BNB, is then invested, and the interest from that fund is then used to buy back and then burn MDB, and then some of it goes out to the pool. So it's funded in like a really sustainable way. You've got, if you think about like reflection, things like SafeMoon, for instance, they were like pure reflection, and that ultimately drives a huge amount of value into a really small number of wallets, and it doesn't work long term. Sorry, SafeMoon fans, but it's true. Whereas our system is designed so that some goes to rewards, but an even bigger chunk goes to the protocol, which means the protocol then, you know, has a financial impact later on. So that's the way it works. If we go back to the analogy, you ask about rebases. Look, ultimately, I talked about the analogy of, you know, you're in the football stadium and you've got tickets to the game. You know what a rebase token does by design. You know, it's not casting any shade, but what it does by design is it prints more tickets to the game, right, every day. So if the pot in the middle of the pitch isn't getting any bigger, then ultimately there's less gold to go around the number of tickets. And if you keep, you know, building new tiers and adding new seats into this stadium, ultimately the value of your ticket is just going down, and that's ultimately what you see when things don't work out in a rebase protocol. So that's where we're fundamentally different. What we're trying to do is have less seats in the stadium and more cash, and that's also what rebase tokens are trying to do, right? But they're also fighting cash versus seats, and the seats are continuously going up, and then if cash goes down, then it's a very difficult scenario, and that's where we're fundamentally different. So Alice, was that okay? Not too waffly?
Someone has commented saying they just want to know the claim process. So this one is sort of relevant to the claiming situation. So you will of course have access to anything that you want to buy yourself in terms of the claim process. So you will have the option to claim in MDB or in stables. I'm not 100% sure on what the stable will be. I'd imagine BUSD. But you know, it'd be something pegged to the dollar and something safe. So there'd be the two options. If you wanted MDB plus, you can't have that in place of, say, MDB as part of the claim process. And then is there anything else? So I'll try and answer some of these just quite quickly. So following on from that, Thomas asked if it's LP or single asset staking. We offer both in Xenia, our D app. So you can pair it with BNB and farm it like that, or you can just stake your MDB single asset. So there's two options, and then when Infinity launches, there'll be more options around that as well. So a few different ways that you can earn within sort of the Bond ecosystem. How do we track the trust fund's performance? You can view the DBank link, which is in our Discord. If you just ask one of the guys in there, they generally know the link. I don't think it is in official links. I should get that added actually. Or our dashboard on our website is updated once every 24 hours. So if you just land onto our homepage, it gives you the up-to-date trust fund number on there, which is actually more accurate than DBank at the moment. I think there's a slight glitch on DBank with the MDB plus price. So bear that in mind when you're looking at DBank at the moment.
Yeah, good question. And just so people know, in terms of transparency, we've got we've got a report internally which we're reviewing at the moment, and once that's signed off, then that will be the template that we're going to use for monthly trust fund reports. So we've got some announcements, obviously 2 Gravity projects this week, and also Infinity coming up. It's just something that's been actually on the shelf for a good few days, so we need to get it signed off, sort of review the report, make sure it's fit for purpose for sharing, and get it out. I suppose top level, you know, if you were lucky enough to be in our pre-sale, then you're basically ×4 in price. There's more money in the trust fund, and there's less tickets to the game. So, you know, at a macro level, you know, the performance is very strong versus obviously what the market's been doing.
Cool. A couple more questions around the staking. So if you wanted to unstake, you can unstake before the 30 days. It's a 5% penalty though before those 30 days are up. Just to answer that one. This is quite a good question. Did you want to take this one quickly, Danny? And then this will be the last one we do before I start talking through the claim process, and then we can do more after.
Yeah, so what kind of returns have previous Gravity recipients seen? So if we just discount the one that's happened very recently, because there hasn't really been enough time to measure, the first one we ever did, they got in at launch price. So I would say half of our largest holders or / most active community members have come through Gravity projects, actually. You know, Gravity was my own sort of brainchild, and And really, it's because I see this problem within the space where, you know, people just get lost and protocols get lost, and there's good people there and there's resources, and actually I'm really, it's probably the single thing that I'm most proud of, actually. Forget about token price and all of that. I think the concept has worked in terms of showing that if you take people and you bring them together they're stronger, and that's shown in the price. So the first project, to get to the point, they've seen sort of a times 3.5, times 4 almost at peak, and the average across all of the projects is 230% gain. Even Oracle, which wasn't that long ago, I think they come in at about 4.6, I think, didn't they, Alice? 4.6,
something like that. I can't remember
maybe.
exactly, but it's a lot
Yeah,
lower, a lot lower
and they
than
were
it is now.
just before a big run up as well, or they were kind of halfway through a big run up, weren't they? So yeah, they've done very well, and that's really just the mathematics. If you bring, you know, more people together into a sustainable system and more liquidity, it's not about one person taking money from the other. It's about actually collectively putting all of those people together, which is why actually is maybe, I don't know whether I should just touch on sort of the mechanics and the benefits of large numbers of people going down the MDB route and the sort of greater impact. Should I touch on that, Alice? Should we save
Should
that?
we hold off just so we can? It makes a bit more sense if it comes after the order, if you know what I mean. So just because I know a lot of you are just keen to understand the claim process and what it looks like. So tomorrow we will open up a channel in the Discord, and it will be a Gravity Collect channel. And in that channel, there'll be a bot, and there will be the option to submit your wallet address. Now, when you submit your wallet address, you have to choose whether you want your refund in stable or whether you want it in MDB. Obviously, Danny, once I've gone through sort of the process, Danny will explain what each of those options look like. But so you have the option to choose either MDB or stable. Now you can only make one choice, and once your choice is made, you can't change it. We will leave the claim option around for probably around 5 days. We normally leave it for a little bit longer, but we are aware that you guys are probably just quite keen to get your money, whatever option you choose. So we're going to keep it a bit shorter this time round, especially because you're all very active. There's a lot of eyes on DFirm. It's not like some old dead project where holders have sort of disappeared. You're all fresh. It's a brand new project. So probably for around 5 days. Obviously, we'll put all of the dates in announcements. It'll be really clear for you to see, but you don't have to rush and put your wallet in if you're not sure what your choice is. If you want to understand the mechanics of MDB a bit more or what, then you don't have to, you know, make that choice straight away. But once you have made that choice, your choice is final, and you could submit up to 3 wallets. If you've got more than 3 wallets, I would probably recommend consolidating them into 3. I think you can still transfer your tokens. I know that's possibly a little bit more difficult for Lucky Sevens, where they've already sent their Lucky Sevens tokens over to that wallet that DFirm requested. So after then the 5 days, what we'll do is we'll close the collect and we will start the process of the airdrop. Now, just to manage expectations, this is obviously, given the situation with what happened with the liquidity pool and stuff at DFirm, and the fact that many of you didn't even actually get your DFirm tokens, especially if you'll come over from Lucky Sevens. This is a little bit more complex. So just to manage expectations, there's a lot of work behind the scenes we then have to do to make sure everybody gets the right amount and that everybody gets, you know, nobody loses out essentially. So we're going to have to track through DFirm tokens. We're then going to have to track through the Lucky Sevens tokens that were sent to the DFirm address. And then there's a possibility as well, and I have seen a few of you bring it up in the chat, of people that haven't yet claimed their pre-sale DFirm tokens. We don't want anyone to obviously not get their money's worth. So for that reason, where it's a little bit more complex than a normal Gravity project, where it's sort of a 1-for-1 swap, it might take us then a couple of days just to get everything in order. We are looking at getting a bot built. It should hopefully be ready before this claim process has even ended. That will make this thing a whole lot quicker and a lot simpler. But just to manage expectations, because there's obviously going to be a lot of people just wanting to know when. we are doing it as quickly as we possibly can, but just because it's a little bit more complex, it might take us a few days just to get those things working behind the scenes. So from your point of view, nothing to worry about. Obviously straightforward, just pop your wallet in within the next 5 days once it opens and you'll be fine. From our point of view, lots of stuff going on in the background to make sure that this is handled properly and you all get what you're owed. So with that in mind, I'll hand over to Danny to explain how the calculations will work, and sort of like what monetary value that leaves us with, essentially, with the funds that Archibald was able to transfer over to us.
Yeah, and I suppose there's a complication, right? Because if you're somebody that was on the 777 pre-sale, then your allocation is fixed in time because you haven't claimed it yet, right? Whereas if you're somebody who's already received your DFirm tokens and it was trading, because they can't stop the contract, it's rebasing. So normally, actually, every project we've done so far, it's been much cleaner because the trading is stopped. You work out a number. There's a strike price between the supply and an MDB, and then you just convert at that price. It's very simple. Unfortunately, you've got these two pots that are diverging. One of them's in a stadium where there's more seats being built every 30 minutes or whatever, and the other one is kind of fixed in time. So we have to, depending on. Ultimately, the token value is almost arbitrary at that point, if I'm honest. Ultimately, it will look at the amount of supply when the rug happened, and it will look at your percentage ownership. So you will get a share of the pie equivalent to the amount of dollars that can be shared out to you. So if there was $100 and you owned 1% supply, you would get $1, right? In terms of stable. So it's that's how it's going to be worked out. In terms of MDB tokens, if you choose the MDB route, then there's a couple of benefits of choosing the MDB route, and we're very conscious of what we don't want to do after some people have been through. Jesus, some people have liquid capital, DFirm, 777, liquid capital and DFirm, and yeah, we certainly don't want to come across like we're trying to get anyone's money or anything like that. But it's worth sharing that one of the mechanics of gravity, and the reason it has such a sort of big impact both on the protocol but also the people that come across, is because you do the strike price, but then you've got the capital that comes into the system, and the more there is, the greater impact that can have on the performance of the protocol. So everybody whilst everyone is looking just at that number, the benefit is if you go MDB, you'll get at least that number, probably slightly more actually, based on the strike price, and you also get it tax free. But you're buying into a token that isn't saying, we're going to build this business that puts rockets on the moon in 2 years' time. You're buying into something that has 2 million, it's proven a track record and all of that stuff. 3 million if you include liquidity. The more people that go that route, the better it is for you all collectively as well, because it's just the mathematics of there's a bigger sum. If 50% go that way, then there'll be $30,000 sent out in stables, and there'll be $30,000 that goes into the protocol. And if all of you went MDB, then there'll be $60,000 that go into the protocol. And anybody who understands the way crypto projects and AMMs work, that has an exponential impact on the potential price. So by moving together towards MDB, you actually create a greater situation for yourself and everybody else. But at the same time, we always want investors. We want people who want to be part of a great community. We don't want prisoners. We certainly don't want hostages. So if it's not for you, then claim your stable, and you'll get your share of the pie depending on your holding, rebases since that point taken into account, and we wish you the best.
Cool. So one question here, I just want to cover this one off. Are you involved in the investigation or recovery? No, absolutely not. Obviously, we don't have anything to do with DFirm other than having discussed this situation with Archibald to try and manage this process for you guys as part of the Gravity project. We are in contact with Archibald, and we will be updated, and then we will then share that information with you guys. Obviously, I know he did lock the the DFM Discord. I don't know if he'll be posting announcements on the investigation as it happens or not. I hope that he does, just in case there's anyone that didn't follow over to our Discord. But in either event, we'll be posting them in our server as well. I do know that it's being handled by the KYC and the relevant sort of local authorities. I think they have managed to actually trace a few steps forward, but where we're not actively involved, we don't have any more information than that. If they do recover the funds, they would be passed to us by the KYC company directly if they recover them, and then we would distribute those in the same fashion to make sure that you guys then get the remainder of those funds. Just DFM and Lucky Sevens holders, obviously, again, and we would probably be able to just use the same airdrop that we've already done, so you wouldn't even really have to follow a process, I don't think, from a technical point of view. So they would just be handled by us and then sent to you guys automatically in the event they do manage to get that money back.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath, because I think these things, we're hearing very bullish signals, but obviously we're hopeful. Yeah, if the same amount of money came in, then ultimately, if 50% went MDB and 50% went stable, then we'd split it, and we would just apply exactly the same mechanism as we did previously.
Yeah, I would say if you choose stables because MDB isn't, a project that you want to stay in, that's fine. But it might be worth you hanging around our server just in case we can get you some update on that from Archibald. But yeah, like with anything, I think it can be quite difficult. And I don't know much about the KYC company that are handling it or what success they've had previously or anything like that. So yeah, but we will keep you updated as and when we get updated for sure.
It was a good question there about would we, if the funds came in later on, would we get them at the same strike price? You would get it at the price of MDB at the point of that liquidity coming in, and the reason for that is because if you did it at the previous strike price and the price had done like a ×3, whilst for you individually, if you got $1,000 and now it's $3,000 because you're on an old strike price, you've got an unfair advantage on other holders, actually. So somebody who's just invested $3,000 into the LP could see you take that $3,000 out, even though you didn't invest, certainly didn't invest into the MDB LP. So, it makes those decisions are very easy being a project leader for me, because we always just look across the community and think, okay, well, actually, it just has to be fair, and it'd be very unfair if you did that. By the same token, though, if you could get, if the price was half and you could get twice the amount of MDB, then you get twice the amount of MDB. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I remember actually the vault gravity, because there was a second liquidity, and they were like, chanting and holding hands and getting guitars out, just praying for an MDB drop, doing a rain dance, because they wanted to get as many MDB tokens as possible, because they're very bullish. But yeah,
and obviously with stables, they would just be distributed at the same rate because the price would have remained the same. So obviously the price per DFM might be different, just because depends how much is recovered, and then you have to then divide that by all of the holders, etc. But yeah, MDB strike price obviously can be variable depending on if and when those funds ever come back to us. So hopefully that answers that. Doesn't look like there's any other pressing questions.
So when would the wallet collect open? I don't know if you did.
So I'm planning on having it open tomorrow. Then, like I say, I think 5 days is a fair window, just because normally we leave it a little bit longer, normally around a week. But just because, firstly, one of the reasons we leave it a week is because when we gravity an older project, a lot of the holders aren't checking the Discord regularly and stuff because the project's really quiet. You guys are obviously on it. You're waiting to find out what's happening. So I don't anticipate that people won't have heard what's happened within the next 5 days to come and claim. And secondly, I know you guys are going to be really keen just to get this wrapped up, especially if you've come from Lucky Sevens and you've just been waiting for a very long time for this. So it'll be open for 5 days, and then it'll probably take us just a few days just to get the refund distributed. Just because it's a lot more technical than a normal Gravity project, where there's so many variables essentially, and so many different types of token that we're looking at compensating. And then, as Danny said, so the exact price is going to be difficult to confirm until we've got all of the wallets in. We can see, because of the rebasing element and stuff of DFirm, exactly what percentage each wallet holds of the overall pot. And then the refunds will be distributed based on that. So the percentage that you own. Well, obviously 100% of the funds go out.
We should probably use the opportunity to get off talking about a strike price on the DFirm side, because you've got these two numbers that are just every 30. I don't know how often it rebases, but in terms of token, these two numbers are every 30 minutes they're shifting apart. So I think we'll calculate the wallet and the percentage of the supply that it owned at the point of it happening. Otherwise, somebody rebating because they did get their tokens has a unfair advantage over somebody who hasn't had their tokens yet. So I believe the tokens that aren't claimed, actually, they might be rebasing anyway. So won't there be?
I'm not sure how the pre-sale tokens work, if they rebase or not. So this is where it's quite complex, really. So basically, what we're going to try and do, what one of our tech team is trying to do, is build a bot that can, I think, essentially read a wallet and see what it held and what it did within a period of time. So just to be absolutely clear, because you always get it with Gravity, transactions that have happened since this won't count. Like, as in, if you have bought trying to get MDB at a cheaper rate, it won't count. So if I, just to be clear, we can't have any manipulation. And then, we need to figure out exactly who owned what, whether it's rebased, whether it hasn't, and the same with the Lucky Sevens, because they're in a separate wallet altogether. So we need to go through and track how that is as well. Once we've got all of that information, it will just be all of the funds split proportionately between all of the holders. So you will get your proportionate share of the funds that are available. Now, obviously, just to make you aware as well, a large percent, like a third, so over 30% of the funds are actually sitting in the Ape NFT. We are fronting that money ourselves, so we are putting the money in for that as well. Just for absolute clarity. So, that hasn't even sold yet. We haven't even, put it up for sale. We only got it last night. And we are covering the cost of that ourselves, whether you're taking the refund in MDB or stable. So please, just be aware, we really are doing everything we can to expedite this process. Biting. Like, what am I talking about? To make it as quick as possible for you. So the funds available is, I think, the floor price of the Ape is around 20k, but we're valuing it at 25 for the purpose of this. So there's $65,000 worth of funds available as it stands, that we will distribute proportionately to all of the DFirm and Lucky Sevens holders. But it's just because of the complex calculation that's going to be needed to make a fair, split, and it's going to take a little bit longer than normally it would, just to airdrop people. It's a bit of a unique situation, obviously, with everything that's happened and how close it happened to launch and things like that. So,
yeah, indeed. There was a couple of things, a couple of housekeeping points. I saw one question, actually. Somebody was asking whether the drop would contribute to the Millionaires Club membership, and the answer is yes. So if you choose to go down that route, then it will contribute to your Millionaires Club allocation. For anybody that doesn't know, I think it's around 53,000 tokens at the moment. It's pegged every 2 weeks to $500. It's always slightly off because the price obviously always moves. So if you had $250 and you choose MDB, or you would have got $250, you choose MDB, you'll be halfway to the Millionaires Club membership. I won't go into pitch mode and all of the great benefits, but do a bit of research. One key point is that Millionaires Club membership does get you a whitelist spot to infinity. The more degen-y, high, much higher definitely higher potential, but also comes with higher risk, because that's the way the universe works. But it will, if you're in the Millionaires Club, you will get a whitelist spot, which is very tightly controlled. Actually, be very, very, very few public whitelist spots for Infinity, and that's just to ensure the success of the token, actually. So it will be contributed. One other just last housekeeping piece from me. We've got the Millionaire Maestros, who are, it's just people that are there. So some of our largest holders, actually, I think our largest holder is a Millionaire Maestro. Somebody who owns 50 odd million tokens, but he's there, will answer questions and help you out, and that really is the theme of the community. We've also obviously got the mods as well. You've got the help center if you've got a particular ticket. Please use the resources. I know there's a few people coming in just saying, hey, when's the airdrop, Godfather? If you want me to be the best I can be for all sort of 3,500 holders, I just ask that you use the resources around you. Otherwise, if I'm sort of if I'm first line support for everybody, then it's definitely not great for our protocol. So just a bit of housekeeping on that.
Cool. Just one question that I saw. So the fund's only going to get divided up to the people that submit wallets. I don't see any reason why anybody won't submit a wallet. Just because it is so fresh. Everybody is, hot on the Discord. I'm going to get Archibald to share it. I'm in contact with Lucky Seven's ex team, so we can ask them to share it as well. There's absolutely no reason why anyone would miss it. And if the claim period ends and they do miss it, they can submit a ticket, and we'll see what we can do to help. But yeah, I don't anticipate that there'll be anyone that hasn't submitted their ticket. Given what's happened, essentially,
Yeah, we don't want to bore you with the details, but this is like we're about to do our 5th gravity. We've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and yeah, Jesus, if I could turn back the clock and make sure we did that on the first ones, I definitely would. So there's very good reason why you want to have a claim system in place.
Yeah, especially in the situation, I did see a few comments about blacklisting the dev and stuff. In a situation where, there has been stolen funds, as with the DFirm project, we don't just want to blindly airdrop to everybody, because for all we know, we're airdropping to more bad actors that are involved or have had a part to play. By managing in a claim process, it discounts those people straight away. The dev that's on the run for stealing funds isn't going to come into our Discord and try and claim for his 10 other wallets he's up, for example. So doing it this way just helps with that as well, which is obviously in this situation crucial, because we want you guys to get the funds, not anyone that shouldn't have them. But yeah, we'll make sure that it's shared numerous times in our Discord, numerous times in DFirm and in Lucky Sevens. And obviously you guys, if you've got, we make like friends online, right? Any other investors that that were part of it, make sure you're spreading the word and you're telling them as well, so they can all make sure to claim it and get their portion of the fund. It's just this is the safest way to do it, especially when there's been what's happened. So
yeah, and it's your just lastly from me, it's your decision to make, right? I think for me, when I see the comments on the side saying, hey, I came through gravity, and there's people there that actively contribute both to the community with content and all sorts. For me, that's really the success of this. But if it's not for you, it's okay. It's okay. But if you do want to come along and I'm seeing you comment on the next gravity sort of call that we do, then it'll make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But do what's right for yourself.
Yeah. So a few questions, just a few comments around this. Yeah, this is a great. I'm glad you've said this, because this is why we're not making a promise on the exact DFirm price that we can give you today, because we need to see what basically all the rebasing and
pre-sale. Cut the net out, haven't you, and see what comes in.
Yeah, and then you've got to see what comes. You've got to see who comes forward and who claims, and then we can make sure that 100% of the funds have gone to the right people that have claimed. So, that's there's no way then that the dev, unless, they make some dummy Discord account and get extremely lucky and get past all of our sort of checks, there's no way that, that it's going to go to the wrong people. So yeah, that's one reason we're not promising like, 0.3 DFIRM, which was the original calculation, because it could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more based on who claims or rebasing, but rest assured your percentage of the pot will be proportionate and fair. So the overall monetary value will be the same regardless if the price fluctuates a little bit based on rebasing or anything like that. Your proportionate share will be the same in USD value. So
question about Ascend. So there is another, just anybody that doesn't know, there's another gravity project actually. So Ascend, who were also, they went to a community vote. Actually, this is the first time we've ever done it, and it's not just all MDB. Actually, that is mathematically it's the best thing, but we recognise there's a lot of sensitivity around this, so we wanted to make sure there was sort of an opt out. But Ascend are also coming across. Yeah, Jesus. Ace needs to put his finger out. We've got a lot to do with Infinity coming up. Having conversations every day. So in answer to your question, we're just want it done. Just want it done. So if you know Ace, or if you are Ace, just sort your fucking life out and let's close it off, please, so that we can move on.
That was in response to that question, by the way, for those wondering. Just seeing if there's anything else we need to cover off before we go. I don't want to let this run on too long, because I know people will probably be watching this back quite a lot and won't want to sit 3 hours worth of chat.
Oh wow, people signing up to the Millionaires Club as we speak. Keys being handed out.
But the price is based amount rebased the MDB price at the time of the offer being made, right? Yes, the MDB price has been struck, so you guys are already at an advantage. If you do select MDB, you're already over 10% up, I think, based on the strike price we gave. So on that side of things, MDB is a very good deal for you guys at the moment. But the DFIRM price, that can fluctuate for the reasons we've said. But the MDB price is fixed, and I think it was just under 9 when we did the calculation, and it's already well back close to a cent. So yeah, over 10% up for you guys already, if you do choose MDB. So that's one thing to consider for sure. I don't think there is anything else. Just scrolling through the questions, it's so easy to miss them. So there was about 90k that was stolen, and now you have 65k. Should we expect 2/3 of the value? No, unfortunately, that isn't how the price of DFIRM was set. So DFIRM was set at $1.70. But that price was based on the market cap, not on the actual liquidity. So that was based on a market cap of 1.7 million. So yeah, no, it's not. It won't be 2/3. Not even close, unfortunately, because if you look at 65k as a percentage of 1.7 million, it's obviously vastly different. There is a lot of DFIRM that we don't have to pay, i.e. LP, a large amount, basically. I think about 80% of something of DFIRM we don't have to pay. So that helps bring that market cap all the way back down, but it's still significantly higher than the LP versus market cap ratio was. I don't know how well I am explaining that. But if you jump into the chat, then we can discuss that in more detail if you're unsure. But yeah, and no, unfortunately not, because of how much was stolen and the way it affected the sort of the AMM, the pricing. It'll be less than that. Hopefully,
not a question here. So, are you guys planning on snapshotting the holdings at the time the LP was drained or when the deal was finalised? Quite frankly, it's arbitrary. It was just a share of the funds, and because once it was drained, ultimately the numbers shift. But you know, if you, like I say, if you own 1% of the supply and there's $100 in the pot, you'll get $1. So you would just get a proportionate, a very true, fair, proportionate share of the pot.
Yeah. We'll do this one last question just to answer for Ascend, and then we will try and wrap it up just because we're getting on for over 45 minutes. Is it possible to combine wallets? I would, if you're claiming for Ascend, you should be able to submit more than one wallet anyway. So I would leave as is, and then you can consolidate afterwards just to not complicate things. The bot that Frontman has set up for us should allow you to put more than one wallet address, and then the MDB would go into each individual wallet, and then should you want to consolidate into one, you can. I would highly recommend leaving your Ascend where it is, just to avoid confusion. It just makes things a lot simpler, and it leaves a lot less room for any error if your stuff is just where it's meant to be. If that's all right, and then you can consolidate it afterwards. You can submit more than one wallet, so that'll be fine. Cool. So I think that's pretty much it. Oh, just one last lucky 7. Yeah, we are. We've got a list. We've got the spreadsheet of what lucky 7s are owed in DFirm, and we will be using that for your payments. So the lucky 7s, the ex lucky 7s team have sent us our spreadsheet, and we have all of that information. So just submit your wallet like normal, and we'll be able to, you know, trace through the blockchain what you put into the wallet for DFirm, and then what that means you should receive. So you'll still get proportionate refunds even if you couldn't claim it. Cool. That is everything then. So I'll wrap this up in an announcement, like just a bullet point quick announcement for you guys. We aim to get Wallet Collect open tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And then yeah, you should have around 5 days to you know, make a decision on whether you want MDB or whether you want the stables, and then make sure you submit your wallets just before the 5 days. But we'll put constant reminders up on all of the Discords, if I can get the other project leads to do that as well, just so that nobody you know, has the sort of chance of missing this information. But yeah, otherwise that's it. So thank you everyone for listening. We're always in Discord. We've got loads of helpful community and team members. So anything that we've not managed to cover, please do just ask in there, and we'll sort you out. Cool. Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye.